motor disabilities is also difficult. If you have compound disabilities, so if you have hearing disabilities and a sight disability, that's extremely hard. There have been actually a couple of voting systems, maybe just one, that targeted that particular kind of compound disability. There are Native American languages that have no written form, that even though these people are literate and speak, they would prefer to vote in the language that they speak at home, and we try our best to enfranchise them. LA County, for example, I think has 11 languages, things like Laotian. That's not even included in the Voting Rights Act, which is the thing that tends to tell you what kind of languages you have to support given traditionally disenfranchised populations. But what we want to do is make sure if you, as my dad would say, don't dream in English, we want to make sure you can vote in the language that you dream in. And third, it's just faster and easier, and it can be much more usable to use a touchscreen for many people. Paper, when designed correctly, is awesome. But imagine trying to put 11 languages on a single piece of paper. If you can do that, man, you can make a lot of money. But that's not to say that there's no place for paper ballots at all. For example, the voter verified paper audit trail. Optical scan ballots are exactly what we're talking about. That's rooting trust and reliability and indelibility in a physical object. A colleague of ours, Doug Jones, prefers etched aluminum, but we haven't found a way to do that. That would be cheap and quick and all these other things. It would last for hundreds of years, which is maybe not such a good thing, I'm not sure. We also do recounts. These are the heavily lawyered up, we're going to count every single ballot and see if we come up with a different result. And then stuff that we worked on in my postdoc at Princeton and that Philip Stark has really sort of led for Berkeley are these things called risk-limiting audits. And these are statistical methods of counting a random sample of ballots, comparing it to the corresponding data structure. So you're looking at, here's the thing the person marked, here's the data structure that interprets what the person marked. And those are statistical tests designed to make sure that if you find enough error that would cause the outcome to be different, that you would actually have announced somebody else, you escalate until you've actually counted all the ballots. Or, more practically in some places, you may have to rerun an election, which is easier for smaller elections, almost impossible legally constitutionally for something like the presidential election. That means I'm taking too much time on each slide, guys. Anyway, so that's one. Hacking is a new thing in elections, so if you've been in this whole track all day, you may hear some of this over and over again. Oh,
yeah. It'll come back. It's cycling through the source.
Cool, awesome. Thank you, Goo. Cycle. I'll just talk. So there's been a considerable amount of hacking of various kinds. Hacking is just a horrible word. It's such a big umbrella word, right? You can almost describe any kind of interference, or meddling is the word of the now for elections. You can just sort of say, hey, they did something, we're not sure what they did, but they just, or some cases we know what they did. In fact, the US has a pretty substantial history, and I have a lot of notes on this that I can share with you. If you have any friends that are Chilenos, in Chile, we did a whole bunch of horrible things to them, using mostly money in elections. In Italy, to make sure the communists didn't get elected, we did a bunch of things there. In the Philippines, there's just those weren't like actual direct interventions in the machinery of their democracies, so to speak, but they were ways of using influence and power to directly change the outcome of elections. The coolest story is the Ukraine 2014 election, which you may have heard of. If you haven't, there's a really cool short paper I can point you at. A hacker group affiliated with the Russian government, supposedly, broke into the Ukrainian Central Election Administrator's tabulation server, changed the results about an hour before they were going to be announced. The Ukrainians found out, rolled everything back, and announced the real results, but Russian television actually reported the result that the hackers hacked into the machine. So that's like the only time we've ever seen something that is probably as close to confirmation of an actual hack that we've ever seen. The other things are not nearly as sexy. So for example, there's a bunch of denial of service attacks, and while those are very powerful, that's like everyone's hammer, right? It's always going to be there. It's always going to be hard to protect against, increasingly so. There was a case, I think in Illinois, I was having a hard time tracking this down, but I will find it, where a poll worker ran an optical, I think it was a couple poll workers, ran an optical scan ballot through the optical scanner like 200 extra times, trying to inflate the count for one particular contest. But it's really easy to just count the number of ballots in the bin and recognize, oh geez, there's 200 pieces of paper missing, or this is off, and just recount the stuff. So that was caught and they were prosecuted. And then this is one that David Jefferson told me about, that there was an insider attack on the Canvas database in the 1994 presidential election in South Africa, the first election for Mandela. I didn't even know about that one, so that's really awesome. I mean, it's good to know about. So hacking has happened before. And we've covered this a little bit, this strict anonymity requirement. People would often say, well, that's where your problem is. If you didn't have this strict anonymity requirement, you wouldn't have all these problems. So for example, in the United Kingdom, when you go vote, you sign your name right next to a number that's printed on your ballot. So there's an actual mapping between your signature and the number on your ballot. But that mapping is kept as essentially a state secret. You have to meet very high bar in an actual election fraud court case to be able to unmask that mapping. So this gets actually kind of interesting. You may not have realized this, but in the very beginning of at least the United States, and obviously this is a more global room than just the US, but you had to be a white male landowner in order to vote, right? And so you had to own a certain amount of land, not just any land. It had to be a certain size. You had to be a man. You had to be a white man at that. And what you would do is you would actually raise your hand or announce your vote, give a voce out loud. That's awesome in terms of transparency. You could actually sit there and record. Everyone could independently record and come up with their own results. But what that means is the coercion and the forms of undue influence, like vote buying, is still right there. A father could say to the son, hey, you're not going to inherit that land that you want so bad if you don't show me exactly how you voted before you cast the ballot. And I should mention, there's only one state in the US that allows you to show your ballot to someone before you cast it. And it's West Virginia. For some reason in the Constitution, it has this thing about open voting which allows you to show your ballot to someone. So if you were going to buy a ballot, it's still illegal to purchase votes in West Virginia. But if you were going to do it, that would be the mechanism to do it. You're not going to get a lot of votes, I would think. And so before about 1900, Election Day was a payday for most American voters. You would go to the polls. There'd be a bunch of people with very bright, distinctive colors of paper that were partisan ballots. They listed for one party all the people. And you would sit there and just play them off each other until you got enough money. And they could go and watch you deposit it in and then give you the second half of what they would want to pay you. And it was about 3 months worth of pay. We adopted this thing called the Australian ballot around most states. Between 1890 and about 1905, adopted the Australian ballot. This is an anonymous ballot printed by the government on a uniform stock with everyone's name printed the same size on the same ballot. Right? When that happened, voter participation rates just plummeted because it was no longer a payday, and now it was an actual civic duty. You had to actually care. You didn't give a shit to go and vote to do that stuff. And it's also, really important to be able to make sure that the votes are anonymous, so that you don't have, in days like now, where you wouldn't go to a polling place necessarily and do that, but there could be, coordination mechanisms involving actual cryptocurrencies to pay you, things like Zcash, right? The more anonymous version of Bitcoin. And now, and this is something else that David Jefferson pointed out to me. This is such a tense political climate we live in, and you can imagine that never has the anonymity of your vote been more important. You could be someone in a party who holds an unpopular view all of a sudden, and they may take retribution on you if they found you voted a way that they didn't want you to. Okay, so here's ones that are maybe more interesting to the technical folks in the room. You'll hear people say our voting system is highly distributed, so it's hard to attack. That I should say that monoculture, in the absence of monoculture, it's a weak guard at best. As people have said, there are often similarities across systems that can be exploited, even if they're very different platforms. But it's only really a benefit, this distribution, to contests that span more than one jurisdiction. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you have your proverbial Tony Soprano, I guess Tony Soprano was never in a proverb, so whatever. Have your fictitious Tony Soprano, if he could fix a local waste management bond in his favor for $100 grand, say a $5 million waste management bond or something like that, not a very big number, that means the threat model there is for that one jurisdiction, that one county, that one town. They're going to have to start thinking about stuff like that and planning for the nasties that are around your town trying to influence your employees and otherwise get into the systems. And even then, many states are dominated by very populous single or one or two or three jurisdictions, right? And because voting equipment has a hard time scaling, it's more than likely that those jurisdictions are going to be running the same voting software, or at least not very different voting machines and software. And so those statewide races can be influenced by attacking one or two local jurisdictions. And then when you have a lot of jurisdictions, you can sort of pick the easiest ones to attack. So maybe you can attack the big jurisdictions, but it turns out that they have really good cybersecurity practices and regular physical security practices and whatever Plato security practices. If they have all those things set, you might be like, well, geez, I can go attack a piece of lower hanging fruit. I may have to change more votes. I may have to disrupt more records. And like something I care a lot about, your voter registrator databases are online, but they're often the canonical versions are in staged, air gap networks that are updated with deltas every few days and stuff like that. But the data on voter registration systems is staged for electronic poll books. These are the computers we're using instead of spiral-bound notebooks anymore in polling places. You can imagine that staged data is sitting somewhere, probably not very well secured, but we hope so, before it's put on those poll books. That's a natural place to do a very disruptive attack where you single out even a given party or just randomly select people in a place that have a certain kind of political affiliation. Finally, the systems are not connected to the internet, so you may have heard this a lot too. And I love to point out what Dan Wallach has said in the past. It's like, yeah, we had viruses before the internet. We had these things called floppy disks. They would be the transmission vectors for malware. And there's just so many ways to cross air gaps these days. Like I was in my earlier talk today, I talked about air gap networks having rogue Wi-Fi attached to them for whatever reason to help people out. People don't recognize that may be a security vulnerability. It helps them do their work better. And so, insider attacks is another really good point to make here, is that insiders have the ability to cross the air gap if you get the right insider. Where there's the machines in the voting village, which I highly recommend you go check out. AccuVote TS, which is still being used in Georgia, was one where Ed Felton and his team designed a virus that you could put on during the primary on one machine, and then between the primary and the general election, it would propagate to all the other equipment, so that you'd have the hack ready for the general election. So while these requirements are really hard, and it means our security models have to be a little different, the attackers are going to be just as clever to get around those kinds of things. And I think that's it. So thank you. There's my GBT signal if you want to talk about any of this, or if you want to potentially become more familiar. We'd love to take questions. I'm just yell and I'll repeat that.
So, we live in Washington where we have voting and the first off, there's a lot of requirements. You have to have 100% of this, or 100% of that, you can't change this. And I feel like vote by mail is a very stressful problems. For example, like, stuff gets lost in the mail. You can always go and fix that, but there's a lot of things where it seems like these problems are solvable. Maybe some of it's a statutory problem, but I mean, vote by mail. Yeah, someone can see my ballot, someone can see my mail. But it's hard to do all these things at scale.
Well, Washington until recently was a singular case because of in Oregon. I don't have the same confidence in vote by mail that you do. Okay, number one is authentication of the voter is very weak. Okay, the best you have is a signature check, which is often not really even done, or is only done with software aid. Usually you don't have a strong way of authenticating who the voter is. So in most states in the United States, when there is vote fraud, if it's not committed by election officials, it's committed through mail-in voting. So mail-in voting is definitely weaker. Yes, you seem to shrug your shoulders when you said that your vote could be lost in the mail, as though that didn't matter. The fact is, you as the voter may not know that, or you may not learn it until too late. And yes, maybe you can go and vote in person if you discover on time that your vote didn't make it. But the point is, you may have voted by mail because you were out of state or not in a position to go. I mean, for many people, that's what absentee voting is all about in every other state besides Washington and Oregon and Colorado. So I guess I'm not as cavalier about the strengths of mail-in voting as you are. I don't think it's a good idea for it to be universal as it is in Washington and Oregon. I don't think it strengthens democracy to have that be the only mode of voting.
Yeah, I would just comment on that. In Washington, you can actually track your vote from when it was received to when it was counted. You can actually verify whether or not it happened. You get a full month to 2 months to vote. So there's plenty of time to address all of these problems before.
Yes, but most people don't vote a month or 2 months in advance. They vote the last week.
Mike.
Or the last couple of days.
Microphone, please.
Let's move on.
And so just to make a quick comment, I vote by mail in a place that has universal voting. I really appreciate it because I'm too lazy but I think the computer science community, at least, that works on elections, recognizes that, I think I'm speaking for many people at once that I don't have the liberty to, but I'm going to, and say that I think we have the opposite view, that vote by mail tends to relax a lot of these requirements. Like, for example, I know a guy in San Francisco who gives his lawyer his ballot with his signature on it and $200, and has his lawyer vote for him. Which is like, it's weird. It's not vote buying, it's not coercion, it's more like, you'll make better decisions than I will because I trust you, Mr. Lawyer, and stuff like that. And so it allows a bunch of things that are sort of wrinkles in this stronger model of things. And the trick there is the models that sort of fit in place in terms of, in place of universal vote by mail are newer things like vote centers, right? Where you have, instead of small polling places all over the place, you have big polling places that you can go to any one of them. The problem with stuff like that is if you have optical scan ballots, you have to have enough copies of every ballot style, which can, in a primary election with a bunch of parties, can just grow geometrically. And so,
Print on demand.
Print on demand, for sure, it works very well. Some states that's very hard, right? Because you got to certify the actual printer and the people doing the printer as being ballot printing entities, right? But that means we can change the laws. But print on demand is a way to do that. You don't get some of the features you get from actual bonded printers and print on demand. But anyway, and there are things, I'm sorry, I'll shut up. Larry? So the question was, at what point does the convenience versus security, at what point does turnout get affected by the tension between convenience and security? So if you make things too secure and not convenient enough, are you lowering turnout? It's a great question. I'm not aware of research on that. Paul Cronky and folks like that who do a lot of voter sentiment analysis may have data on that. There's probably some natural experiments, but I don't know. It's something we have to plan well for and make sure that elections are as usable as possible and easy as possible, then no easier, right? Sir?
Is there even a theoretical model which makes anonymous voting and the ability to maintain each vote as an atomic transaction where you can scroll forward and scroll back possible together, or are those two things mutually exclusive?
So let me try to repeat the question, let me know if I got it wrong. Is there any theoretical model that preserves anonymity in voting where you can, say it again?
Treat each vote as an atomic transaction.
Treat each vote as an atomic transaction, sort of like acid, right?
About remote voting, or are you talking about?
In-person voting. So you can maintain anonymity and still have an atomic transaction.
So there are formal methods here, and there are people who model polling places. I'm not sure if that exactly would answer your question, but come find me and I can at least point you to some of those papers. And if it's not there, maybe you can do it. But I have a feeling that the polling place models people use, especially in queuing theory, which is how often do people arrive at a polling place to optimize the distribution of voting machines? They have to deal with that stuff all the time.
I would just say that voting at a precinct is an atomic transaction from a, say, computing point of view. I mean, from beginning to the end of the transaction, you're not interfered with as a voter, and if I understand you correctly, yes, a voting transaction is intended to be atomic. Sounds like I didn't say that. What about you?
A couple points about a vote by mail. Could you just mention that some of the issues about counting those votes, the tabulation of the votes on the central scanners and those vulnerabilities that are not by any means redressed by vote by mail? If you could say something about that. But the other thing too, David, when you were talking about correctability, I understand what you were saying about any individual or atomic vote, but could you address whether you agree with the ability to correct aggregate election totals through forensics possibilities?
The first one was, say again, sorry.
About vote by mail, and it still is vulnerable to the central count scanners.
Sure. So vote by mail is counted somehow. In some places, it is counted by hand in very tiny places, but many places they use optical scanners, sometimes central count optical scanners, which I don't think we have any here. They're really curious machines. They're very high throughput, expensive, $100,000. You can think of like Pitney-Bowes mail handler, what kind of things, to very quickly go through these systems. And in fact, in the Ohio study from 2007, we installed Linux on the ES&S one just to prove that it was a general purpose computing platform. And they do have vulnerabilities. And often, the things like the tracking capabilities where you, with your vote by mail ballot, have something that allows you to check and see that your vote by mail ballot has been received, is been counted and accepted. That's so crucial because often you can see something happen there, like, hey, it was rejected for some reason, and then you have it in many places. You have a period of time to correct that stuff. What you may not know, this happens with regular optical scanning too, is that scanner correctly interpreted the marks you made on that ballot, right? And this is where the newer computer vision systems are a lot better at doing things that older systems couldn't do. For example, if you have an oval and someone circles the oval instead of filling it in or putting an X in it or something like that, older systems had a hard time catching this. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing from people, the newer systems detect marginalized marks and are able to better count those. But it's not perfect, and that's why you need to have regular audits and actually compare some of these marginal marks and figure out if they would have affected the race.
And Candace, you said something about correctability. Could you repeat the question?
Correctability on a macro scale, for instance, after a forensics evaluation, I understand what you were saying about the correctability of an individual vote is not possible, but what about inaccurate vote or inaccurate tallies as a result that could be identified through a forensics evaluation?
Well, so that's a complex question. So, most of the time, there isn't a second process after the canvass to check the initial canvass results at all. Now, you've heard it several times today. People have recommended that we have risk limiting audits of paper ballots, and the central idea there is that you would take a random sample of the paper ballots and check them by hand. And there's a statistical criterion to indicate whether or not this confirms the results from the original machine canvass, or whether it disconfirms them. And the thought is, though the law has not followed this yet, is that if the risk limiting audit afterwards determines that the results were originally incorrectly tabulated, either for procedural error or software error or malicious code or something like that, then the results of the risk limiting audit would legally replace those of the machine counts. And then you would presumably, that would immediately, trigger an investigation, a forensic investigation of the voting machines and exactly why did they not match the results that of human counts of these ballots. Right now, this law and these procedures are not in place, and we would, it's one of the things that we are looking to try to institute in every state in the union as soon as we can.
And for, if anyone out there is a real math nerd, have I got something for you? Walter Mabane, who is a political scientist and a total math nerd, has a really cool election forensics course that all the materials are available online. And all he does is work with totals, with vote totals at the precinct level or whatever level, and uses various kinds of statistical tests to spot tampering. And he's used these in many, many a foreign country. Things like Bedford's Law, which is, I won't get into it, but look it up, it's fun. It's basically the distribution of the first number in a distribution of numbers, so like the 1 in 1045 or something like that, right? And there's a second order Bedford's Law, which is the second one. Anyway, these all have distributions that you can spot when someone is actually messing with stuff. But what can you do afterwards? You're not going to actually like renormalize the results, like a census kind of a thing, where you say, oh, well, we miscounted something, but we know how we miscounted, and we're going to do that. Man, campaign lawyers will never let you get away with that.
I did want to add one other thing, which is that the idea of doing forensic examinations of voting machines or the back-end systems after an election, even if something is suspected is going wrong, there are no procedures, there is no law to permit, let alone require such investigations. It's just not possible under the law today. In fact, would be totally prohibited. So this is a frontier that I think we have to change in the future.
We got time for one more. Sir?
Do we actually know the quality or magnitude of election tampering right now?
Absolutely not. I mean,
There are a few things we can say. I mean, I mentioned earlier that most of the cases of detected fraud, detected and prosecuted, have involved either election officials or vote by mail. Now, it doesn't tell you how many cases there are. It just says almost all of those that we have are of that kind. The notion of voter ID that's been introduced in many states has been touted as a protection against vote fraud, but I think most people in this room know that that's totally ineffective, except against one kind of fraud, which never happens, which is a voter walking in and impersonating another voter in that same precinct. Just doesn't happen.
thank you, everyone.